You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Mat Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Mat Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities, Monday, June 29th. Welcome to John Deere Classic Week here in the Quad Cities as well. An exciting, fun, busy week. I believe it's the best week of the year when it comes to high sports and big-time sports here in the Quad Cities. The 55th John Deere Classic will officially tee off on Thursday, and we are just getting started with our coverage right here on Off the Air with Mat Randazzo. First and foremost, thank you. If you're watching the show, however you're watching the show, if you're watching it live on YouTube, thank you for that. We appreciate that. Hopefully you are subscribing. That helps us out a ton. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Comment, like, all of those kind of things help us out a ton. So thank you for that. We're also streaming live on X. X has been very, very good to us as well. So we appreciate anyone who is taking part in the show, watching the show on X. That is extremely important. Thank you guys for doing that. Always stay interactive with the show, especially this week. We have a great chat on YouTube. We'll continue to have that throughout the week as well. So ask questions, comment, complain, critique, whatever you want to do. We appreciate that. Also, do the same on X as well. We appreciate all of those kind of things as we get feedback from you guys as well and have you guys take part in the show. Something we do each and every weekday right here in the Quad Cities at 10 a.m. We're also on any podcasting platform you can possibly think of via, Apple, Podbean, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, put an Off the Air with Mat Randazzo, and you can listen to the show each and every day as well. We're also streaming live on the WHO streaming app. We love that. Welcome to our viewers in Central Iowa. We are on every single day, live as can be, from 10 to 11. So the first hour of the show, each and every day, on the WHO streaming app. If you want to keep watching, we'd love that as well. So go check us out on YouTube or X or any of the platforms we just talked about after the 11 o'clock. The second hour is pretty good as well. So come check that out as well. And also, we are on all of the social media. So Facebook, we've talked about X, Instagram. I got a brand new Instagram page. I wasn't really invested too much in Instagram. A couple weeks ago, my son said, you need to be, and I said, you're right. So I think it's at Mat Randazzo _OTA. You can check us out, much more active on Instagram as well. As we mentioned, it is JDC week, but before we get too into today's show, I got to wish my lovely mother a belated happy birthday. She had a birthday yesterday. The best mom in the world, the best grandma in the world. We appreciate everything that Eva Randazzo, my mom, does for us. So happy belated birthday to my mom. Of course, we didn't have a show on Sunday. We took her out to dinner, and the grandkids got to spend some time with her and all that good stuff. So happy birthday, Mom. It is John Deere Classic week. It's been a busy weekend. We took a 3-day weekend. I had kids baseball on Friday, but Friday was really good for the John Deere Classic. So coming up on today's show, we've got a full John Deere Classic preview to get to. My 3 guests for our roundtable have a combined nearly 100 years of experience when it comes to the John Deere Classic itself. Coming up in a matter of moments, we have Craig DeVrieze, 42 years covering the John Deere Classic. TJ, Tom Johnston, 44 years covering the John Deere Classic. And then Todd Hajduk, the general manager out of Deere Run. This will be his 15th John Deere Classic. This will be my 25th. So I'm excited for it. We're going to break down, talk about this year's John Deere Classic field, what it looks like, how good it is historically. And then we'll give you some picks, some winners, who's going to win the thing, some sleeper picks as well. And then we'll also talk about last week's PGA News and what it means for what we do each and every summer at the John Deere Classic. So we've got those 3 coming up in a matter of moments. We also will have Kyle Huesmann on the show today as well. The women's basketball team in Iowa City had an open practice to the media, I believe, on Thursday. We didn't do a show on Friday, so we'll get caught up with Kyle on what they saw, what they learned. Obviously, you're not going to learn a ton from an open practice, especially an open practice for the media. It's awesome that the Iowa women's basketball program, and the men do it too, allow you to come in and check it out, but they're probably not giving their best stuff when the media is in there. But we'll get Kyle's thoughts on that, a little Iowa baseball. And Kyle's going to the John Deere Classic on Thursday, so we're going to get him to make a pick when it comes to the John Deere Classic. So we have a busy show. Real quick, this is what the week looks like. Tomorrow, I'm seeing a couple events out at the John Deere Classic out of Deere Run, so no show tomorrow. So catch your breath. Watch today's show. The preview show is going to be amazing. So we'll be able to have those 2 shows. That show kind of cover 2 days. And then we'll be out at Deere Run Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We'll be live from the Stone House, just off of the second green out at the John Deere Classic tournament headquarters, if you will, and Andrew Lehman for the 2nd straight year, allowing us to take over his office. And it's a super busy, crazy, stressful, emotional week for him. And for him to allow us to come and set up shop in the middle of his office and do this show is really awesome. And we'll talk more about Andrew throughout the week. This is year number 20 for him at the John Deere Classic, and starting as an intern and now the tournament director, and bringing in arguably, I don't know if it's even arguably anymore, the best field when it comes to John Deere Classic history is really cool. So we'll talk more about that. Throughout the week, we'll have Andrew will be on the show. We're going to track down Decker Playing again, see if he'll come join us once again. We'll talk to the volunteer chair. We'll talk to the Celia Palermo is coming in town, so we'll talk with her on the show as well. A lot to get to this week on Off the Air with Mat Randazzo. Really excited about it. We mentioned Friday before we get into our John Deere Classic preview. Friday was a big day for the John Deere Classic. I was down in Peoria, and I got a text message from Andrew saying, this is happening. And I kind of heard rumblings a couple days beforehand, but Jordan Spieth is back at the John Deere Classic once again this year. Came back 2 years ago. That was the first time he had been back since 2015 and winning the John Deere Classic. Of course, he won the John Deere Classic in 2013, also won it in 2015. Jordan Spieth back at the John Deere Classic again this season, or this year, this week. Really exciting news when it comes to the John Deere Classic and this year's field. But that wasn't it on Friday, because Friday we got good news, not just when it came to Jordan Spieth, but a bunch of different golfers and a quartet of golfers all committing to the John Deere Classic on Friday. Again, the deadline was Friday, I believe, at 5. And joining Jordan Spieth, who's ranked 49th in the world in the OWGR rankings, Jacob Bridgeman, ranked number 25. Keegan Bradley committed on Friday as well, 38 overall. And then Daniel Berger, 50 overall. So you got 4 top 50 players to commit on Friday alone. This year's field is loaded. It's jam-packed. It's one of the best ever at Deere Run. And it's going to be a hot week, but it's going to be a great week of golf in the Quad Cities. And we're really excited to see Jordan Spieth coming back to the John Deere Classic, as well as so many other great names. A huge year for golf here in the Quad Cities. And, of course, out of Deere Run starting this week. So we have a big week at the John Deere Classic. So last night I tracked down a trio of, I don't know, I guess experts. You have to, because they've stood the test of time. They've been around for a long time, and they've covered a ton of golf. And I was really super excited to sit down and chat with 3 of the best when it comes to our John Deere Classic preview segment. So joining us now for the second year in a row. This is an annual thing, guys. I'm particular. I hate people who say first annual. So last year was the inaugural. This is the second annual JDC preview show here on OTA, and we have the greatest minds in all of golf. Does that work, fellas?
No, it really doesn't.
No, we got Craig DeVrieze. This is year number 42. Covering the John Deere Classic, we think. We tried to do math, and it got crazy, and Craig showed us his toes, and we were counting, and it was bad. Tom Johnston, you're number 44, old man?
I think something like that.
And
Early 80s.
And
that's why he's got so much fewer hair than I do.
And the general manager
Working with you did this to me, DeVrieze.
All right, boys. All right. And the general manager, the only gentleman here amongst us, Todd Hajduk, the general manager out of Deere Run. 15 years at Deere Run, Todd?
I'm old, man. I know. I'm trying to catch up with those boys.
You'll never catch them. Trust me. I've been trying to catch these guys for 25 years. The older I get, the older they get too. So, guys, I appreciate you guys doing this. It's going to be a fantastic week of golf here in the Quad Cities. And I kind of want to start with the headline because Friday was a great Friday. It added to a really good field. Let's start with Friday. When you get a Jordan Spieth, and then you get a Berger, and you get a Bridgeman, and you get a Keegan Bradley, all on Friday alone, that makes a good field a great field, doesn't it, Craig?
100% it does. Yeah, I mean, Keegan Bradley and Jacob Bridgeman all 4 of those guys. There's now 8 top 50 guys in the OWGR who are in the field, 33 in the top 100. And I remember not that far back, I don't think, TJ, I think it was 2019 or something, where there were maybe 8 or 7 top 100. The reality is these guys have a lot to play for going into the stretch run here. And I think that explains why Jordan Spieth was a late addition. Positioning in the FedEx Cup race these days is really important.
Absolutely.
Especially when it's the top 100, and they're starting with fewer playoff events. So they've got a lot to play for, and that's why they're coming for checks. They're not here for Carrie Underwood.
We might be. They're not. TJ, it wasn't that long ago where Fridays, they were a big thing. I mean, I remember running out, and Dan Burge had me going out every Friday of JDC to interview Claire because we didn't know who was coming, going for sure. But it had been quiet in recent years when it comes to big announcements on Friday. What was your reaction? What was it? 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon, we looked down and Jordan Spieth is on his way back to the John Deere Classic.
4 o'clock Friday afternoon was a big day for tournament director Andrew Lehman and the golf tournament here. It had been a number of years. I mean, even going back to the last few years with Claire Peterson at the helm, Fridays were pretty quiet. Guys were just not, were setting their schedules farther in advance and sticking to it. Now, with the FedEx Cup race factoring in 500 points on the line, guys want to get here and have a shot at those. Plus, the charter flight across the Atlantic is not hurting the recruiting at all either. So, no, it was huge Friday for the golf tournament. Andrew was all smiles. I think he was going to pour himself a small glass of something and celebrate Friday evening. So, well deserved.
Yeah, rightfully so. Todd, you look at it, and you were here in 13 and 15, and what does Spieth back at Deere Run mean? Because, and there's others, we'll talk about the others, that not just on Friday, but just in this field in general, but Jordan Spieth and Deere Run go hand in hand. He came back, I think it was 2 years ago, and there was a buzz, buzz and excitement, and people came flowing back. He's not from the Quad Cities, Todd, but he might as well be from the Quad Cities the way we think of it. What does that mean for Deere Run and the John Deere Classic?
Well, I mean, we always talk about if there's anybody that really moves the needle for the field, for anything, for participation, for people coming out, it's always been Jordan Spieth. I mean, every time after he won twice and hit the scene the way he did, everybody's like, well, when's Jordan come back? When's Jordan come back? And that was all you really heard about. But at the end of the day, he really is a big deal. He's just loved by everybody here. And I'm not surprised, but I think Craig touched on it. There's a lot to fight for here. They got to figure out how to position themselves. And I don't think Jordan's maybe playing his best golf right now, so he's got to give himself some opportunities to continue to move the needle. But it's huge. Anytime Jordan Spieth comes back, it's a game changer. I think now you have Thursday, Friday with a great field, one of our best fields ever. Then you have the weekend with Saturday, Sunday with the concerts. I think Andrew and the team has done a tremendous job of just filling all 4 days with a reason to be out there at the golf course. The weather's not going to help us this year, but that's summer in the Midwest, July time. That's just the way it is, right?
Yeah. Todd, I want to stay with you because golf-wise, you're right. Jordan's not playing his best golf by any stretch of the imagination, but it does help coming back to some place that you have had a lot of success and won several times. I'm not a good golfer. I'm a golfer. I'm not a good golfer, but golf speaking, like it does have to help to come back here and maybe, get some magic back at playing in the right direction as some important events come up.
Absolutely. I mean, we all play golf. We're all comfortable at certain golf courses. And when you've won here twice and had the memories here and the shots here, that's only going to make it easier. So that will help him maybe, find some magic as you referenced. But yeah, he wants to be here. It's hard. I imagine these guys, you think about it, they go from February to August, everything they have to do, all their obligations. So, I don't think they don't want to be at the golf course, being at the John Deere Classic. They want to be here. It's just whether they can fit it in. And for Jordan, I think he's like, I can do it again out here. So I think it's a huge deal. Glad he's coming. It's going to be an awesome week. We had a great field before that, right, guys? Now it's even better.
We did.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Craig, Friday.
Hey, guys,
go ahead, TJ.
Let me jump in real quick. Andrew said something the other day. You're talking about the scheduling and these guys jumping in late. Andrew, it didn't hit me at first, but after thinking about it, Andrew said, some of these guys see who is going to be playing at certain events and want to get in so they can, kind of fight for their positions and keep their positions in FedEx if they know there's somebody, ahead of them or next to them that they have to, kind of, keep behind them in the points race. Do you guys think that is something that factors in?
I think what might be a factor there, and I'm not sure, but the FedEx Cup points are going to be static. That's 500 points. We know that for the winner. The OWGR, I got to think the ranking, the number of ratings points are going to be exponentially better because of the depth of this field. When with 8 top 50 guys, it's going to make a difference. It really is. With Gotterup here, Bridgeman here, we've got 13. Ben Griffin's 18. Jacob Bridgeman is 25. JT's 32. Keegan comes in at 38. I mean, the OWGR points, that's really going to point to the strength of this field, and I think we're going to find that it's the best that it's ever been.
It's
now all we need to do is get those guys to the weekend.
Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, well, to TJ's point, I mean, you absolutely have to say, hey, this guy's 5 or 10 above me in points, right? And he's playing this week, and I'm not. Yeah, you are competing against every individual that's ahead of you or even behind you, and you have to keep yourself relevant. So I'm sure that was part of his decision making. Absolutely.
Craig, looking at this field, and you mentioned some of it as we went, because we focused on Spieth, and rightfully so. He's a 2-time champion here. He's over my shoulder every day, so I have to focus on him when I can. But the Bridge, I think Bridgman's a great get on a Friday. 25 in the world. Keegan Bradley's playing good golf, and he's a good golf. But like that name resonates with people, and so does the Max Homas and the Ricky Fowlers. Like you look at this field as a whole, and it has the 8 top 50s, but it's got names. It's got Zach that's always going to draw. I think from top to bottom, name-wise, young guys that are going to be here. I think the field in general is really good. Talk to some of the guys we didn't talk about, Craig. Not just Jordan, but Bridgman, Keegan. That's a big Friday, just Friday, more or less the rest of the week.
Undoubtedly, yeah. I wondered where Bridgman was because, I remember last year, and you're going to ask us who our picks are, and I'm going to say that he's example we don't have a clue who's going to be in the running come Sunday, because I remember him closing really hard on Sunday last year, and I'm looking at who the hell is Jacob Bridgeman, and what are we going to write about Jacob Bridgeman? All of a sudden, this guy is he wins the Genesis out in L.A. at Riviera, and he's a serious player, and he's good friends with Gotterup, by the way. So that maybe that's a factor. But yeah, he's definitely here to enhance his standing and build on what he did last year on Sunday, I think.
TJ, what do you like about this field besides the Spieths? And it's got some depth to it. It's got a lot of depth to it.
You've been enamored with the names that people know. People need to start paying attention to the youngsters in the field, the guys who are going to be the names to know in 2 or 3 years, because this field is absolutely stacked with young talent. I wouldn't be surprised if we have somebody under 22 years of age win this tournament this weekend, because these guys are ready to play. What's that,
could have
Craig?
somebody under 18 win. The guy here's a guy who came in really under the radar. Blades Brown. Yep. Playing most of his he got his temporary card, much as Jordan did a few years back, but the difference being he had status on the Korn Ferry Tour, and he's trying to make sure that he books his card for next year and beyond, and by continuing to have success on the Korn Ferry Tour, and he's pretty solidly inside the top 20 that's going to get him a full-time card, and he's every time he's teed it up in a PGA Tour event, he's actually been competitive. I mean, he was a factor in Palm Springs. He was a factor, I think, in Bermuda, and this kid can play, man. He's a teenager. Teenagers have a good track record here. There's some 19-year-old kid won once.
Yeah. He did okay. I want to talk
about. You got Koiven coming back. He did well last year here on a sponsor's invite. He's making his pro debut this week. I mean, the list, there's like 10 or 12 youngsters who wouldn't surprise me if they're up on the top of the leaderboard all week. So and in addition to the names, the recognizable guys, that us old farts can relate to. Watch the youngsters this week. That's going to be a fun storyline.
4 players have played their way into their cards by finishing in PGA Tour Accelerated. Only 4 guys have done that. One of whom is Ludwig Aubert, and the other 3 are in the field. That's Luke Clanton, that's Michael Thorbjornsen, and Jackson Coiven. And Jackson Coiven, he had a great year here last year. Finished top 20. Had a terrific weekend. Had started, I think he shot 1 under par or even par on Thursday, and then just turned it on from there and finished almost top 10.
It's funny because you mentioned, I was going to say Clanton, I was going to say Thorne Bornison, guys that like were young. We talked about probably a lot about those both last year. Those guys are now here at Deere Run for multiple years now and getting used to the course and the week. I mean, those are the guys that can easily play. I think Luke Clanton was a favorite on this show last year to make a run and to play well and do some things on the weekend as well. I want to get picks in a second, sleepers and expert stuff and all that kind of. That's what people are flocking to this show for. I get it. But I want to talk about the course itself. And Todd, you're out there all the time, obviously, as the general manager. How challenging has this spring been? Has it been when it comes to the amount of weather we've had, the amount of rain, and then obviously there's a change out there. 4 is going to look extremely different. The tree that's been out there is no longer there. It's going to play different. I go back to media day, and I looked at that thing and went like, how in the world is 4 going to be ready by the time that we play golf in July? And it sounds like it looks great out there. Can you talk about maybe that change and maybe the course in general? Because it's probably been a challenging spring. Maybe not. I don't know.
A little bit. The weather is always the X factor. It was dry in April, and then it started getting a little bit wetter. I think we've had almost 10 inches in June already.
Jeez.
Well, it's the end of the month now, right? So it's been a lot. We had, it's been wet, but that actually supported the change on 4. So the rough is very lush. It's very, very strong out there. And that's, we all are familiar with the large greens and the large fairways, generous fairways. So the rough really is the penalizing part. They're getting it at 4. They mowed it on Friday, and we'll see if we need to maybe touch up inside the road as we go along here. But it's 4 to 5 inches. It's absolutely brutal, and it's heavy, right? It's not like it's dry out and it's trying to grow like your yard. You can tell the difference between your yard when it's lush and when it's dry. It's a different mow, right? So the rough's going to be brutal. The 4th hole is really cool. It's in great shape. The bent grass fairway is amazing. We got that down probably now just over a month ago, maybe 6 weeks, somewhere in there. And it's amazing. It looks pure. No one's hit a divot off of it. I don't want anybody to touch it, to be honest with you. It's almost a sin that someone's got to play off of it. But and then they added, where the tree used to be, Matt, is now on that corner, on the inside corner. There's 2 bunkers and a rough complex. So you really can't go to the right anymore. You'd have to almost play to where the tree was to the left side of it and go around that area, which is fine. And then there's a bunker on the far end down there. So that's great. Oh, by the way, they decided to add 40 yards to the hole while doing all this, of course, and throw them back a little bit more. So now instead of playing about 450, you're going to play around 490 on the hole. And you have to decide, do I want to take those bunkers on by playing to the left and hitting it about 3 to 320 to give me about 160 in or a little bit less? But most guys will have about 180 to 200 into that very narrow green complex. Obviously, a very high fall off to the right side where it's a really brutal up and down, and then the 2 deep bunkers on the left. So I don't think when we designed the hole, we thought about the green complex as much, because they used to throw in there with wedges and 9 irons and all that. That won't be happening anymore. They're going in with long irons and maybe some hybrids once in a while, depending on your length. But the hole's going to play hard. I think, based on the data I was looking at, I think it was ranked about 10th or so on the from 1 to 18 of how it was ranked with the shot link data, right? I'm going to go on the record right now and say it's going to be playing as one of the top 5 hardest holes this week. So we'll see how it plays out.
No, absolutely. I think that was one of the things where I think Andrew said he felt that it was going to become one of those more difficult holes on the course. So we'll see how things end up shaping up when it comes to hole number 4.
We can see the overall stroke average for the course grow maybe a half stroke based on the challenge that hole offers. I think you're going to see if they get in those bunkers and especially get up in those bunkers, they're really going to have some challenges.
Agreed.
To hit that
Agreed.
green.
If the wind picks up like it did this afternoon, good luck. It's going to be brutal out there. But
And
that's when they go low, is when it's very docile out and it's soft conditions. Those guys are very good. You see at Travelers today. They just went low because it's so easy for them to play well. So I would like to see if it toughens up a little bit. But I think we'll be in the teens for the strokes, but maybe low 20s. But I think with the hole now, we're going to see it come down to Craig's point and definitely play more difficult.
Super interesting.
And as a starter on that hole, I just want at Deer Run, I just want to say I've had the opportunity to watch that hole come in, and shout out to Todd and Jonathan Graham and that whole staff. What that looked like in May, you cannot believe.
Mm-hmm.
I knew they were going to get it done, and I thought they were going to get it done right, but the challenge was pretty immense. And so what they did there is just incredible, and that's just a testament to having that good John Deere equipment, and B, having that TPC network to rely on, and really have the have the opportunity to do something major like that quickly and do it right. And it's going to be fascinating.
Well said,
the pros
Greg.
have.
Well said, Greg. And I appreciate that. And I mean, Jonathan deserves a lot of kudos, and obviously our old boy Alex Studman was part of that as well.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. And then really just, I mean, they had to get it done. There wasn't a choice, but it was a lot of hard work. And, the weather was good and bad, right? The rain helped grow it in, but at the same time, it delayed it a little bit too. So I'm glad the project's done, and I'm looking forward to playing it here in a couple of weeks after the tournament.
Yeah, and Craig was checking.
Looking forward to the first 68-hole tournament on the PGA Tour next week, to be honest with you. Either that or else the little temporary tee par 3. That would have been fun too.
Right.
Hey, I birdied that.
Yeah, take that from that
temporary
cart
par 3.
path. That is a tough shot over the bunker to that narrow green.
I think we've had 3 or 4 hole-in-ones from that temporary tee.
Really?
Is that right?
That's
Wow.
crazy.
And that's not even including the one that I made one on media day. I just didn't tell anybody. No, all right,
there
I
you
didn't
go.
think you guys were about that. All right, so our next thing to do is to pick winners and then sleepers. I have a rule this year, guys, and I don't think you guys were too bad last year. I want a winner. I don't want, you guys cannot say I like this guy, but this guy's going to be good, and I think this guy's going to play really well. And I want one. I don't want to hear you guys next week saying that I picked one of those 5 guys. So I don't know. I want to do. Let's go TJ first, since we'll go seniority just to make Craig mad because he's been there longer than you, right, TJ?
Oh, sure. Put the old guy on the spot, right? Yeah, nice guy.
We'll go. Do you want? You can defer. You have seniority. Do you want to defer?
I'm gonna trade the pick. I want more draft picks out of this number 1 pick.
Craig, I'll let you go first.
All right, you want my winner?
Yeah. He's like the Godfather. You want my winner?
That's so hard.
Where's the cat?
There's no way to be
Where's
right.
the cat? Need the cat.
There's you can't pick one guy. I mean, look at the PGA Tour. You can't pick a guy any week. Even if Scotty Scheffler's in the field, you
Hey,
pick
guys.
him.
Hey,
He's
guys.
only won
Hey, guys.
how many times this year?
You understand
Once?
the concept.
Twice?
You understand the concept of the show here, right? Like, I'm not asking you. No money's gonna change hands. No, I have experts on to give their expert opinion on. Todd, please, will you go first and be the adult in the room?
All right. My winner. You ready?
Yeah. And if anybody doesn't like this and says, "Oh, that was mine," you both had your chances. Go ahead, Todd.
Exactly. I'm going to go with Chris Gotterup.
Go ahead. Yeah, tell me why. Obviously, he's a really good golfer, but
I think just because he wants to be here. He likes the golf course that much. He's spoken about how much he enjoys coming here. He called, I believe he said, this is my 5th major. So he's playing good golf. He wants to be here. I think he's excited about it. So I just felt like that was a good pick. So
TJ, you've
That's
been
a good
studying.
pick.
It is a very good pick. He's a really good golfer. TJ, go ahead.
Yeah.
what are we doing? What are we doing?
Todd, God bless you. God bless you, Todd Hajduk. Thank God.
Go with Jacob Bridgeman. What the heck? Like Craig said, he had a great weekend here last year on his game. He's got as good a chance as any.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Craig, what do you got?
I'm going to base it on form. And Keith Mitchell had a really good U.S. Open. hasn't historically played well here. Having a pretty good year, and I think I'll go with Kashmir Keith.
Kashmir Keith
great
to win
pick.
it. That is a really good pick. I was going to go with Max Homa just because I loved what he did last year, but I changed. I don't love the way he's playing, and I do love the guy. I know it's cliche and it's really easy to do. Sleepers will be different, but when he won in 2013, I got to ask him the first question after he won, and he came back in 2015. And we talked we got to do like a little interview on media day. So we were down in the locker room and I introduced myself. Hey, and he said, I kid you not. He said, Matt, of course I remember you. Now he won't today because it's been so long ago, but I'm like, you really? And he's like, I
That's
remember
awesome.
everything about my first PGA Tour victory. And he's such a down. And then the other fun story about that 2015, we were down there and we got the interview done and we had time to kill. And it was him. Maybe it was manager, me, and Scott Weiss. And so the four of us just sat at a table and just shot the shit for, 20, 30 minutes. And at one point he was like, and this is obviously 2015, he's skyrocketing. And he's like, yeah, he's like explaining, he goes, right now, he goes, my fan base is like teenage girls and like 40-year-old guys. And Wheezy squeals, that's me. That's me, because he's like, I'm one of those 40-year-old guys. So obviously he's a fan favorite, and so I'd love to see him get back on track. Now, is he playing good golf? Not at all. So I mean, it's not I don't want anybody taking any of their hard-earned money and going and placing a bet on that. But just for sheer being back here, what a story it would be. Third time to win here. Obviously, he's super talented. He knows the course. He's played it well. Give me Jordan Spieth to win this thing. Sleepers.
Oh, wow.
I'm worried about sleepers because TJ almost had a heart attack when I asked for a pick, more or less a sleeper. So, Todd, we'll go back to you. Give me a sleeper. Give me somebody that and I'm trying to find the odds, but I'm guessing the odds aren't out yet because they have to finish the Travelers. So I don't know if the odds for the John Deere Classic are out yet. I usually can find them at this point, but I can't right now. So give me somebody off the radar, Todd, that we might not be ready for.
I'm not sure if he's off the radar, but I like someone that's not as common as the names we're throwing out. But I'm going to go with Eric Cole.
Yeah.
Very good pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
outstanding.
Good
He
form
plays well
this year. Playing well.
Yeah.
I
And
did-
he contended
Exactly. Jay,
contended
playing
this
well.
week.
He's playing
Didn't
well.
have a great finish. Always plays well here.
Craig, give me that
Yeah, I
sleeper
think so,
again.
too.
I know you gave it to me.
Well, I
on-
said Rio Hisatsuni because he's always he started out really strong this year. He was always contending on the West Coast swing, and he leveled out a little bit. But Rio Hisatsuni is one guy I would call a sleeper. I want to point to another potential sleeper. He's a guy who has 2 wins and 8 top 8s and 8 starts this year, and has a bit of a record of some success at the John Deere Classic. His name's Zach Johnson. Now, he's obviously a little longer in the tooth than he used to be, but
We all are.
but man, he's playing great out on the Champions Tour. Todd, are you going to let him ride a cart? Is he going to get a cart?
That's a great question.
Hey,
That's a
I
great
want
question.
you guys are being warned. Zach listens to the show. I kid you not. He's been on the
I am
show.
not knocking
He
Zach.
listens. So be careful.
I entirely believe in Zach. He plays so good here. It's
That's
just
a great
muscle memory, and man, he's playing lights out there. And
It's a great point. He's trending too. He won 2-3 weeks ago, right? What was it?
yeah, principal.
2
Yeah.
weeks
Yeah, in Des Moines.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Des Moines.
That's a great pick.
Talk about a 5th major. This is his 5th major, no question.
I will put some of my wife's hard-earned money on Zach to make the cut this week. Just if everybody's wondering out there, you can go look to make the cut. Yes, no. And Zach will be. I'll look and see if I can find it. I did find before we get TJ sleeper. I did find the odds for the John Deere Classic. Guess who is the odds-on favorite in Vegas right now to win the John Deere Classic?
Gotterup.
No, second.
Denny
Todd.
McCarthy.
No. not in the top 10.
Ben Griffin.
Ben Griffin.
Ben Griffin.
Ben Griffin. There goes Ben Griffin,
yep.
Chris Gotterup, Keith Mitchell,
Don't sleep on JT Poston.
Keith Bradley. Or I'm sorry,
Oh,
Keegan
nice.
Bradley. Keegan Bradley.
Keegan Bradley, yeah.
JT Poston, Eric Cole, your sleeper, and then my pick, Jordan Spieth, is next. Jackson Koiven is after that.
Wow.
That's how
Crazy.
high up he is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Bridgeman's after that. Thornbornson's after that. Ricky Fowler, Tom Kim. I mean, guys, this is an amazing field. Like, this is a really, really good field. When you're looking down the list and you're getting to like 12, 13 down, and it's Jacob Bridgman. I mean, that's a really good 25th ranked golfer in the world, and he's at that point. TJ, give me your sleeper.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give you two because a buddy of mine 3 weeks ago, when he saw the field list, he said he picked Jackson Suber. Out of nowhere, I have no idea why. I'm going to throw that name out there as a sleeper for him. My sleeper pick is obviously not much of a sleeper pick because he's among the top 10, but Tom Kim.
Yeah, well, Kim is. Let me look at what Kim is, and obviously he played great a couple weeks ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He's 13th on the list. So that's down there a little bit. I'm trying to find out where Zach is. I'll see what his odds are. But, yeah, I mean, when you look at the depth of field, I think that's – and you look at Jackson Koiven, he's one of the top 10 odds-on favorites to win the John Deere Classic. I think that says a lot about this event and what's going on with the John Deere Classic this year. It should be an amazing week of golf. Before I let you fellas get out of here.
Look out for Blades Brown.
Blades Brown.
Just said
My phone just died. All right, look and see exactly what he. I guess I can use my computer to find out. I was going to see where he was at. Obviously, when it comes to the John Deere Classic, it's an awesome field, awesome week. PGA News came up this week. Everything's a changing. We don't know what it all looks like for sure. I think the main headline from earlier this week is that it left more questions than answers for the John Deere Classic. And I don't think we find them out right away. I think it's going to develop over time and see if it works. And those kind of things are different. TJ, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts on Tuesday and the PGA announcement, the new format coming in 2028, and I guess your headline or your top thoughts when you hear the news.
Well, you started the show with it. My top thought is we're not going to have any more Fridays. No more surprises with guys committing late.
Yeah.
Because if this ends up being a Challenger Series event, the top 100 guys aren't going to be here. And days like Friday aren't going to happen again, which I think really sucks for this event.
Opinion is not as good as what we currently have right now. So that's disappointing. But, we can only control what we can control right now. I try not to worry about the things that are within our grasp. And so you can worry about it. We can talk about it. But, yeah, I mean, they have to do – the tour's got to do what they have to do. And I don't like the direction we're going because it impacts us the way it does. But we all can understand the business model that they're going through.
Yeah, I think, too, that just because it happens and they do it doesn't mean they're going to do it forever. And a lot of times in sports in general, things happen, you try it, you think it's going to work, it doesn't work. So, and I think obviously John Deere is going to be a big factor in what goes on and what they want to, I mean, and that's a big commit and everything. So I don't want to get too much into the, and I think another thing is we talked about, was it TJ saying we could get a teenager to win the John Deere Classic? And I think we always root for, or at least I do, down the stretch, what's best for the John Deere Classic? What big name is going to win that you're like, I mean, like the Jordan Spieth's a great example. Jordan gets tied with the John Deere Classic or other golfers in the past. I don't think it matters anymore because maybe it matters next year. Jordan wins this year. Jordan probably come back next year because next year's still as is. But in 2 years, it probably doesn't matter. And media days, Todd, are you going to let us come out and golf on a media day if we don't have a defending champion come back? Like, can we at least do like just the four of us? Like, we don't have to tell anybody. Like, Andrew doesn't even need to know. We'll keep it to ourselves. Can we do that?
But that's a great point. It's going to change a lot of the traditions and things we're used to been doing for the last 15, 20, 30 years. So, I mean, the uncertainty, the unknown, it's disappointing. There's just a lot. I mean, how do you tell a player who wants to maybe play here, like all this that happened Friday, TJ is absolutely right. It's not going to happen anymore. It's just changing the vibe and the feel of the tournament and all these tournaments. I don't think they've thought through all that quite yet. So that's where we don't know what's going to play out yet. So that's
Craig, I want to get
well,
your
if
thoughts.
it stays the way it does, this year there are 9 past champs in our field next week. In 2028, if this plays out the way it might, none of those guys will have an opportunity to come back here and play this course again. And that's
not necessarily
just,
true.
As Todd said, the traditions will change. It's going to be a totally different look, a totally different feel when, you don't have the Zach Johnsons, you don't have the Lucas Glovers, the JT Postons, all those guys back in the field year after year. And I think that's something that's really going to suck for the community and the tournament if it ends up playing out that way.
Yeah, I just want to put this in the water. First of all, I think a lot of the stipulations that Brian Rolap talked about on Tuesday are yet to be fully cooked. If you're telling Scotty Scheffler he can't play in Dallas, if you're telling Jordan Spieth he can't play in Dallas, I think there's going to be some blowback on that. A lot changed about the elevated events when Rory decided I'm going to skip some of these. They were going to all play in all of them, and that didn't happen. And so it changed. And so and one other thing that I would insert into the conversation is that the CEO commissioner said that they have 10 sponsors for elevated events next year. They still have 5 more to figure out who they're going to be. I don't know that that's I don't know that it's a given that the John Deere Classic might not be one of those. John Deere has not spoken. We know that this event has worked for their brand in incredible ways, and we know it's worked in their brand in incredible ways here in the Quad Cities, less than 2 miles from their headquarters. So I wouldn't rule out the possibility that somehow, some way, we could find ourselves in that elevated championship series status. Anything's possible. Nothing's
well, in the past,
secret.
in the last couple of years, when the PGA Tour went to this elevated event model, they didn't dismiss talk of becoming an elevated event. It might not be every year where it's elevated, but once every 5 years, they pony up that extra, the $30 million that it's going to take and make this it could be a Champions Series event at some point, because they have not totally dismissed that concept at all. You're absolutely right, Craig, but they just haven't said anything as of now.
Craig, I agree with Craig saying, but if you look at where they're going with the direction of the elevated events, they all want to be at, they call it iconic golf courses, and I think we're iconic, but I'm not sure they would agree with that, right? They want to be big markets, right? They want to be somewhere where we're not. Even if Deere was willing to, I'm not sure we fit what their vision of elevate or a championship series is, and that's just my thought on that.
Yeah,
that's probably true. There's no question.
Yeah.
I think that the talk of the tour having asked this event, John Deere, to consider taking this to Chicago, although it's been fully debunked, that didn't come out of just nowhere.
Correct.
I don't doubt that there were conversations about that, but I also, when they talk about the iconic, going to the iconic golf courses that they don't play, typically they also talked about those being playoff events. So I wouldn't say, River Highlands is not that much of a better golf course than TPC Deere Run is, frankly. There are players on tour who say this already is the best TPC course. It just fits their eye. They love the way it plays. They love the look. We'll have shrinks and fairways, I think, if we get to be on a championship series. But Todd, you'll just have to explain that to the annual pass holders that this is the price we pay for greatness.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I think the big two things, and then we're going to let you guys go. One, we know how warm it's going to be and humid it's going to be this week because we're starting to not be able to see Craig just because the humidity on his computer outside. You can see in the lens like he's slowly starting to go away. So I
think that's the spotlight.
That's just the moisture in the air, I think. And two, Craig, tell everyone
the cigar smoke.
Remind everyone what you said on Tuesday on the show. If they want this golf course or this golf tournament, what are they going to have to do? They're
going to have to pry it out of my cold, dead hands.
There it is.
Now, there are a lot of people, my wife included, who might be excited.
Can we stand in line? Where does the line start?
That's what I said. That I was, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Right behind my wife.
I did. I'm trying to do. I'm still trying. I'm trying to do math in my head. This will be my 25th at JDC. So we're 40 together. You, Todd, and I, and then 42 and 44.
We don't even touch those two.
Yeah, so like 126 years of covering the John Deere Classic and being at the John Deere Classic. I think this was fun. Again, guys, have a great week. I'll be bugging you. Craig, I'll bug you. TJ, I'm going to bug you. Todd, I always bug you, but that's okay.
You bug you. Let me know if you need a golf cart.
I love it. Oh,
you're a good bugger, Dazzo.
Did anybody just see that? I'm saving that. Save that for everybody. So, guys, boys, I appreciate it. Have a great week of golf at the golf course, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Appreciate you guys.
Magic's going to happen. I'm telling you, magic.
Love it. See you guys. That is three of the best. Todd Hajduk, Craig DeVrieze, and of course, Tom Johnston joining us, getting ready for the John Deere Classic. Deere Week is here. Reminder once again, tomorrow, no show. I'm going to be emceeing a women's executive event out at the John Deere Classic. Excited about that. And then we'll be live from the John Deere Classic Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from the Stonehouse, just off 2, from Andrew Lehman's office. Can you stop by and say hi? No, because Andrew doesn't even want me in there, more or less anybody else. But that's what we'll be at, and we'll be roaming around the course as well. So we will have much more to get to. You're watching OTA on a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back.
This summer, light the fuse on something bigger than fireworks. It's red, white, and you at the John Deere Classic. July 1st through 5th with world-class golf and 4th of July energy you can feel. Wednesday is Youth Day, and kids 15 and under get in free with a paid adult. After golf, concerts on the course rocks the weekend. Carrie Underwood, headlines, and All-American 4th of July celebration. And Old Dominion closes out Sunday. Stars, Stripes, Summer Tradition. Get tickets now before they're gone at johndeereclassic.com.
For over 65 years, Lindquist Ford has proudly served the Quad Cities, and they're just getting started. Looking for a new ride? Check out a healthy mix of new and quality pre-owned vehicles ready for you. Need service? Skip the waiting room. With free pickup and delivery and mobile service, they come to you. No delays, no hassle. From routine maintenance to a full-service collision repair shop, it's fast, friendly, reliable, and always transparent. Lindquist Ford, serving the Quad Cities since 1959. Experience the difference today.
Hey, I'm the Crawford guy.
Ooh, do you guys always speak at the same time?
Sorry, guys. I'll go first. You know, if you need help with your heating or air conditioning,
or electrical,
or plumbing, Crawford Company can solve your problem.
But what about your problem?
What problem?
Do you not hear yourselves? Take it from me, the Crawford lady.
And me, the Crawford guy.
Crawford is the comfort company.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Mat Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Of course, it is John Deere Classic week. We will be focusing the vast majority of our time on the John Deere Classic. We will be live from the Stonehouse out at Deere Run on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday of this week. We'll probably pop on over the weekend as well. Excited to get out there. Thank you once again to Andrew Lehman for letting us invade his office during the busiest week of the year for him. So it should be a bunch of fun. But here on a Monday, before we go almost all golf the rest of the way, and we had our JDC preview just the last segment, I want to talk a little Iowa basketball, Iowa baseball, and golf as well. And we're going to do that with our good friend Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report, joining us right now on Off the Air with Mat Randazzo. Kyle, last week we talked, and you're getting ready to go see some women's basketball. That was Thursday. Your thoughts, your headline, seeing the Iowa women's basketball team for the first time in person. Probably didn't get a lot, but what'd you think? What was Thursday like for you guys?
Yeah, no, I mean, first off, it's always really exciting when Jan Jensen and the staff and everybody allows us to come watch practice, because I know that's not the same everywhere, and the men's team has always always allowed the media to come watch as well. So it's always fun to just kind of go see them, work out, whether it's drill work or whatever. If you do get to see some live stuff, it's just always nice to see, especially if they have newcomers. That's always the biggest thing is to see the newcomers, just see how they're doing with the team, and just to get to see them in person, because a lot of times, whether it's transfer or freshman, I haven't seen them play before. So I've went and watched some of the freshmen before and, AAU circuit and stuff. But a lot of times the transfers and stuff like that, a lot of it's just highlights on YouTube or whatever. So it's always nice to get to see the players in person. Not a ton was going on in terms of the practice itself. They're down a couple players right now. Danny Carnegie's playing in the Nations League, the 3-on-3 tournament, I believe, which is out in Chile. I think they did well in their first day the other day. I think they won all 3 games. So good for her to be in that. And then Ella Stromdahl is the Swedish incoming freshman, is trying out for the Swedish national team. So it sounds like she will not be on campus till the fall. So here early in practice, they're down to 9 players right now. I should mention that Ava Hayden made the 3-on-3 team as well and decided to decline the invite. She did the showcase and actually roomed with Danny Carnegie when they did that showcase and played some stuff down there. I believe that was in Phoenix, but decided to decline the invite to go to Chile. Just kind of felt like she needed to stay on campus and work on some things and try to work on some new moves with her post game, and felt like maybe that was better for her than going and playing in some 3-on-3 tournament. So that was another note as well. And then the other note was that Bria Medina, the Knox College transfer, on the first day of practice, broke her nose, got hit by Amari Whiting. So she's still practicing, but isn't doing non-contact drills right now. So I don't like to say it, but that feels like kind of like a welcome to the Big Ten moment on the first day of practice to have that happen. But overall, it was a lot of installing, the offense. They're going back from the high-low offense that they ran last year to the 4-out-1-in, which, it's just a 1-year hiatus from it. They ran it with Lucy Olson. They ran it with Caitlin Clark. But, the newcomers and things like that, you've got 2 players on this roster that have ran that offense with Taylor Stremmel and Ava Hayden. That was their freshman year. So of this team, 9 of the 11 players have, maybe run it at different points, whether they did it in AAU or something like that or at their previous stop. But a lot of them are learning this for the first time. So it's a lot of slow going right now with the installing the offense, making sure that you get all the pieces put in, because the read and react, the 4-out-1-in read and react offense is a lot of, it's passing and cutting, and there's a lot of just stuff that it's not like a set play or something like that. There's a lot based off of reading what the defense is doing and things like that. So it takes a lot of time to install if you've never done it before. So that's kind of what they're doing so far early in practice. But, got to see them do that and then, talk to a couple players after practice. But we're hoping by the time we get to the July 7th practice and the July 23rd practice, they're past a little bit of the installing and see a little bit more in some of these practices.
Kyle, it's funny because you mentioned 2 of the newcomers aren't there. And then the other one is non-contact, but she is there. And then there's the other 2, obviously the 5-star freshman in McKenna Velichko, and then probably one of the most talked about transfers in Amari Whiting. Your thoughts on maybe both of those players, what you saw up close. Obviously, I think you got to talk to Amari. What'd you get from them, maybe on the court, but then also talking to them and the conversations maybe afterwards.
Yeah, so we got to talk to Amari and kind of exact. And I had actually talked to her prior. I called her on the phone when she transferred, committed to Iowa, and did an article on her. Basically the same thing when you got to talk to her. It's very obvious that she's a coach's kid. Is very experienced. Obviously, has played 97 games at the D1 at all of them. And you can tell that she has that level of experience when she's talking to us, kind of just talking about, her move to Iowa. Obviously, she's been through the portal already when she went from BYU to Oklahoma State. So I think for her, this move is obviously it's hard to go to a new school and learn new players and learn a new offense and everything. But I think having that transfer already and already being a coach's kid and, just having that level of experience at the college level, I think she's built for this transition. I think she's handling it pretty well. She's rooming with Taylor Stremlow. So you've got the current kind of captain and team leader of the team, rooming with someone that, like I said, has a ton of experience as a coach's kid, has high basketball IQ. Those could be your two team leaders by the time we get into the middle of the season. So to have them, rooming together, that could possibly be a good thing. But it was nice to talk to her and hear, she's had a lot of great things to say about, not just the team and, practice so far, but just living in Iowa City and has really enjoyed her time in Iowa City so far. And then McKenna Velichko, we didn't get to talk to her, but I saw her out on the court going through some of the drills. And from the time that she committed to Iowa and even before that, when, people were hoping that she was coming to Iowa, we knew that, she was a little bit more versatile with that forward position than what they had with Hannah Stolke. Can shoot the mid-range, isn't like a huge three-point shooter, but is continuing to add that to her game. And I thought her shot looked really good, looks really comfortable shooting it from the mid-range, shot some three-pointers in practice. Again, it's just drill work, so it's not like they're going live and, she's knocking down 3 after 3. But I thought her shot looked really good, looked really comfortable with it. And it'll be about when they do start doing that up and down the court stuff, in practice that is able to transition, and she's still comfortable shooting that mid-range, still comfortable shooting the three-pointer. But I thought it looked good in the little bit that we saw. And then Jocelyn Faison, the other Georgia transfer that people kind of forget about because Danny Carnegie's the big one from Georgia. I think she, just seeing her in person, and we knew, she's 6'1", so you knew she had some size to her. Just really lengthy, looks bigger than 6'1". So I think if she's able to carve out a role, maybe towards the end of the rotation and come in and play some guard spot, I think she has some good length, in which they don't really have right now at guard because, Chit Chat's, undersized. Danny Carnegie's not very tall. Even Amari Whiting's an inch shorter than what they had with Kylie Feuerbach last year. So if she can work her way into some minutes, even if it is like 10 minutes a game or something like that, she does give a little bit more length to the guard group that they don't really have at some of the other spots. The one thing I should make note of is I've been talking about how slow going the practice has been so far. They've been doing a lot of player-led scrimmages. So obviously they only have a certain amount of time they can practice, a certain amount of practices they can do during the summer. Those are NCAA rules. Those aren't, coaches just saying we shouldn't practice more. That's stuff that they have to follow. But there's no rule against the team getting together and, scrimmaging for an hour or whatever. And it sounds like they've been doing a lot of player-led scrimmages with the coaching staff not there. It sounds like those have been very beneficial for the team. And as I said, Danny Carnegie's not there, Ellis Stromdahl's not there, but you still have several newcomers that are participating in those scrimmages. And I think those are as important as installing the offense and making sure that everybody's, getting a grasp of what you're going to do offensively. Because with these newcomers, like I think I said this before, Amari Whiting has never played with Ava Hayden. She's never played with, a Chit Chat Wright or a Taylor Stremlow. So the hard part is done for this roster in terms of the coaching staff went and made the necessary additions to bolster this roster and hopefully make a deeper run in March than they did last season. But now the new hardest part is you've compiled the talent, you've built the roster, but you've got to make sure the pieces fit together and make sure the on-court chemistry is there. And you can't really build on-court chemistry when you're installing stuff in practice for the offense. So for them to go out and do these player-led scrimmages, it's a really good way to learn, okay, I'm Amari Whiting and, here's how Chit Chat plays. Here's what I should be looking for when she's on here's where she likes to catch passes. Here's where, things that she likes to do, and just learning each player. And you go back to the years with Caitlin when they had, the 3 years in a row where they had the same starting 5. By the time that team was in their final year, summer practice was just like, okay, we know exactly what we're doing. The offense, we all know what we like and stuff like that. This team doesn't have that. So I think these player-led scrimmages are very important. And Ava Hayden mentioned that in these player-led scrimmages, because they aren't, they haven't really input an offense yet. A lot of it isn't structured up and down, like, okay, we're running set plays and things like that. A lot of it is just kind of like a pickup game at some points. So you get to learn. It's not just like, okay, what does, Amari Whiting do in the 4-1 in offense? It's what does Amari Whiting do when there are no rules? We're just playing basketball. And you really get to learn that specific player from a base level. And I think that's really helpful as well. So I think those player-led scrimmages, as long as they continue to do them, and like I said, everything I've heard, Taylor Stremlow said she really enjoys them. Ava Hayden says she really enjoys them. Jan said that she's heard a lot of great things about them. I think those are going to be really helpful, especially when you add Danny Carnegie into the fold. I think she's going to be back around the 4th of July. when they get back from their little break for the fourth. And once you add her into those player-led scrimmages, I mean, that's potentially, outside of Ava Heiden, your second best player on the team. So those scrimmages are only going to ramp up in competition. And I think those are going to be as helpful as any practice is going to be.
Kyle Huesmann joining us on Off the Air with Mat Randazzo. It's funny because I think some people thought, hey, the media gets to go to practice. You're going to walk out and Kyle's going to post on X the starting lineup or have a lot of answers. That wasn't going to happen. I think we all know that. Did you take anything away? Like when it came to anything surprise you? Anything jump out to you that maybe you didn't expect when it came to getting a glimpse at this year's team coming up?
Yeah, I don't know that anything surprised me. I think that, like I said, that might be more of like a second practice once there's been, because it hasn't been too far in the summer so far. But so we get July 7th, like I said, is our next one. So I'm hoping by then you start to hear a little bit more. I will say that Jan, so we had Jan on the podcast, whatever, a month and a half ago, whatever it was. I have no idea when it was. And she mentioned that Taylor Strimlow was the one that stood out in those spring workouts and really attacked the 3-point shooting. And I should mention, I asked Taylor about the loss to Virginia and what Jan had said about her attacking some spring workouts, and Taylor said that loss really bothered her, and for a while she was sad about it, but really it kind of turned from being sad about the game to turning into like, okay, like we don't want that to happen again. So I think that's really been a driving force for her this spring and into the summer. But then, I asked Jan the same question because now it's been, a month and a half since we had that podcast. I said, Jan, is there's someone else that's saying that? Maybe she says Taylor again, whatever. She said that Chit Chat's really kind of grown in terms of using her voice a bit more, which is good to see because, the I wouldn't say the knock on Chit Chat last year, but at times it was, she defers a little bit. Sometimes it's deferring and she doesn't use her voice enough, and sometimes it's deferring and she doesn't take the shot when it's open for her. So to hear that she's being a little bit more assertive, at least with her voice, I think is a good step for her. So that was the one thing that Jan mentioned. But overall, there weren't a ton of surprises. Again, I think they're still trying to learn a lot of things about this team as they try to install the offense and kind of see how these pieces fit together. I did ask about Layla Hayes, just because, with Ava Heiden last year, she was obviously the starter, but at times dealt with foul trouble and things like that. And obviously every player has their breaks where they need to get to the bench and get a breather. And last year, early in the non-conference schedule, Layla Hayes, showed well against some mid-major teams. But then once they got into Big Ten play, it was clear that Layla wasn't quite ready for that moment. So they went to Hannah Stolke a lot, whether Ava was in foul trouble or needed a quick break. And Hannah was your player at the 5. Now Hannah's headed over to Italy to play some pro basketball. So you've got Layla Hayes on the roster. So now if Ava Heiden does run into foul trouble, or, she's not playing 40 minutes a game, even if she plays, 28 minutes a game, there's, 12, 15 minutes a game that you need a backup center. And I asked Jan about just the importance of making sure that Layla Hayes makes a bunch of strides this summer so that she can play in those moments and you aren't without a backup center. Jan mentioned that Layla's made some good strides, has really improved, and that I was right, that this summer is very important for her. And she feels like that she has made the proper, additions to her game so far, that she feels like she will be able to be that player that you don't have to worry about, okay, Ava's in foul trouble, we're kind of in trouble right now. If Layla can come along to the point where you feel like, okay, it's not great that Ava's in foul trouble, but Layla's there where she can hold serve for a while, that's when you start talking about this team being really good, is you start looking at the bench and what pieces can get just a little bit better. So that way there isn't a drop-off from that starting lineup. You feel really good about guard because you've got 3 starters and then maybe a Taylor Strimlow coming off the bench. That's great. You look at the forward, the small forward position. You got, I've mentioned my concerns a little bit with the McKenna Velichko, and if she's not quite ready from day one to be playing 25 minutes a game. The thought about Journey Houston playing extended minutes at the 4, but I still think you feel good about the players there, especially if they can make some strides. And then the 5, like I said, if Layla Hayes can make some strides and be a true backup center, you feel really good about this roster.
Absolutely. Kyle Huesmann joining us on Off the Air with Mat Randazzo. When is the next practices? Real quick, so people.
July 7th is our next one. So okay. What is that? A week or so? A little over a week?
Yeah, it's probably a week from today, isn't it? No, a week from Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. I don't want to do math in my head. Don't make me do math in my head, but it's the start of a busy week. I want to talk to you about Iowa baseball. I want to talk to you quickly about the John Deere Classic, but while we're talking about women's basketball, it's a loaded question, so it's a hard to but your thoughts on the Caitlin Clark drama with Alyssa Thomas and the suspension and alike. I'll just let you kind of go from there. Your thoughts on what's going on in the WNBA right now.
people keep, we did it on the podcast with Tom. People keep roping me into talking about this, and I'm
tired
over
of
it at this point. Oh, I'm very tired. I've been tired of it. And it's not even from a Caitlin side of I'm just tired of both sides on all of it. I will say I thought the play by Alyssa Thomas was a little over the top. I think she could have gotten a flagrant 2 in the game. I think that the 1 game suspension is fine because she didn't get ejected from the game. So if she gets ejected from the game, maybe you don't need a 1 game suspension then. But because she didn't get ejected from the game, the WNBA reviewed the tape and they said, this probably should have been ejection. So they give her a 1 game suspension. This shouldn't be a big news story. It doesn't need to be some polarizing topic. You should be able to watch the video and be like, yeah, it's probably not great that someone got punched in the face. Right, purpose or not, whatever. 1 game suspension, move on. We're in the middle of the season. It's not changing the Mercury season. It's not changing the fever. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't, I don't know why every single topic that comes up about Caitlin needs to be something that's on social media with 30 articles being written about it, 15 of them being pro Caitlin, 15 being, pro the other side. I don't know. It's just incredibly annoying because I think I said this on the podcast with Tom the other night. You can't even sit down and watch. For me, I was super excited when Caitlin went to the WNBA because, I spent, 3 of her 4 years at Iowa where every single game I was, I had to tweet about it, I had to go to a press conference after the game, which was great. I loved going to the Final Four and all that. But going to the WNBA, I was I can sit down and just watch Caitlin and not have to worry about working during the game, not worry about a press conference, writing an article. I can just watch the game. And now it's to the point where you can't even turn on a fever game without, there's a borderline call or something. And, maybe Caitlin says something to the ref. And it's well, great, that's going to be on social media. Or Caitlin misses a couple of threes. And they're going to be ragging on her on social media. You can't even watch a game without 5, 6, 7 plays in a game being yep, those are going to be all over social media the next day. It's going to be awful. And it makes it really hard to watch games. I haven't watched through their last 4 or 5 games. So, yeah, it's frustrating because there's just you just can't sit down and watch a game and enjoy it because they're not even playing that well right now either. So it's there's just a lot going on and a lot that I don't feel needs to be as like I said, there doesn't need to be 30 articles about every game about something that happened, and it just 1 game suspension about this, just move on. Why does it have to be this giant thing where you got people on ESPN, people on podcasts going on about it? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I think some of the stuff is just egregious, and I don't understand how they just don't embrace the heck out of her and run with it. But I will say this, and you kind of mentioned it. There's a faction of people out there that Caitlin Clark can do no wrong. And it is a little overboard. My mother probably being one of them loves watching the WNBA. So one loves watching Caitlin Clark. So I get that. I do think in life in general, but anything that's controversial I think the thing that's weird is why is it even controversial? Why is a generational talent so controversial? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It feels like more people should be on board with the same thing and moving forward. There could be some detractors, but that should be the minority of what's going on, not the majority of the drama between it all. So I do see that point with it as well. I won't make you keep talking Caitlin Clark. We'll talk some Iowa baseball movement going on. Players are being added. Obviously, we knew that had to happen. Kind of take us through what the baseball program's kind of done the last couple of days.
Yeah, first I'll throw out the quick scheduling thing that we got this past week. Iowa will be competing in the AMG Bank College Baseball Series at Arlington or at Globe Life Field in Arlington. They run a whole bunch. I think they have 8 tournaments they run over the course. I think a couple at Globe Life. They got 1 in Phoenix. They've got them all over. There's one in Claiborne in Texas. They've got a whole bunch. But Iowa's in one of the highest level ones. They're going to be it's 6 teams: Oregon State, Oklahoma State, Baylor, Arkansas, and Iowa. We don't know the exact schedule that I was going to play at, presuming that they're not going to play Oregon because they're in the Big Ten. So that gives you 4 other teams to play 3 of them. So that's a really high level event that I was getting into. Really exciting for them. It sounds like, from what I've heard, there's a couple of other fun weekends that'll be released at some point, early in the non-conference schedule. But that was the one scheduling thing we got last week. Like I said, that's a big thing to be a part of. In terms of transfers, they've added a couple here in the past couple of days, a couple of infielders, which we've talked about they really needed, with Jackson Frost being the only returning starter back there. Whether he's going to play third base or somewhere else. You lose Gable Mitchell, you lose Cooper Schulte, you lose Caleb Wolf, you lose Ben Swales to the portal. And all of a sudden that infield was looking pretty bare. So they had added Sawyer Stein a while back, the Iowa Central transfer, who's probably going to be your starting first baseman. And then the middle infield was still sitting there, pretty bare. Kyle Levo can play shortstop, but are you gonna put your potential Friday starter in the infield? Probably not. Maybe he'll get some DH at bats. He had a 4-for-4 the other night in the Cape Cod League with a home run. So maybe there's a point where you're like, we got to get him some at bats somewhere. But probably not going to play the infield. Incoming freshman Garrett Lewitt's having a really, really strong summer in the Appalachian League. I believe made like their all-star type thing. I think they're doing something with Team USA maybe, where they're playing some games. He made like the Appalachian League select team or whatever they called it. So he's really turning some heads out there. So maybe he's a guy that comes in and fights for a starting job in the middle infield. But a couple of transfer additions. They added Diego Frey from Azusa Pacific, which is D2, I believe. I can't remember. I think it's D2 or D3. Took a gap year this past year, played at Azusa Pacific for 3 years, and then took a gap year, decided that just wanted to train and try to get ready for a graduate year, find a year of eligibility, and to get a chance to potentially play at the D1 level. Has actually been playing in the Prospect League with Lafayette, so he's playing in the same league that some other Iowa guys are playing in, some other Big Ten guys are playing in the local area. That's an Iowa, Illinois, Missouri league. So he's gotten experience here in the Midwest, and Iowa added him. Had a really solid third year with Azusa Pacific again. He took a gap year, so it's been a little bit since that one, and transitioned it and played really well with Lafayette last summer. A guy that I think is going to come in and has some experience at the collegiate level. Not a guy that I think comes in as like a for sure starter, but is kind of going to battle. And if he runs into some starts or some at bats, then great. But they needed to add bodies in that spot. And then the most recent one was yesterday. Southeastern University, not Southeastern Community College near Burlington, Southeastern University. Infielder Nate Hopkins announced his transfer to Iowa. Now he could be a guy that I think could come in and potentially be a starter, just by looking at some of his stats, which is hard to say at times because it's an NIA school, which Southeastern is. But began his career at Seward County Community College, which is in Kansas, in that JUCO league, that's JUCO conference. That's very good. Had a couple of really solid years there. Was the Kansas JUCO Athletic Association. That the division that he was in, the West Division, was named Freshman of the Year, and then followed it up with honorable mention All Conference the year after. And then goes to NIA Southeastern. They went to the NIA World Series. He had a great season, batted .395, was the only player to start all 63 games for them. 20 doubles, 5 home runs, led the team in RBIs, also stole 25 bases, was a first-team all-conference selection, won the Sun Conference Tournament MVP, had 8 hits in 4 games. And then they go to the World Series, the NAIA World Series, and he set the record for highest batting average by a shortstop at .678 over 4 games, I believe it was. Was 11 of 16, had 18 hits in 9 NAIA tournament games. So you can certainly swing it. It is a jump from the NAIA level to the Big Ten. But I think a guy that is someone that they probably need to go after in terms of that type of player, just because, and we've talked about it before, you're not going to probably get for sure starters or proven players at the D1 level to come to Iowa, just because of the money situation. That's a big part of it these days, and Iowa doesn't necessarily have a lot of it for their baseball program. And they've got guys on the roster, a guy like a Kyle Levo that you have to pay some of your bigger chunk of your money to keep a guy like him around. So Nate Hopkins, a guy that's probably about what you're going to get, a really solid player at some lower levels, and you hope that can translate to the D1 level. And what I should mention is, Kansas did a really good job of that. There's going to be a subset of people that are going to look at these transfers Friday. They're going to see Kirkwood. They're going to see Iowa Central. They're going to see Southeastern University and NAIA school. They're going to see Azusa Pacific, and they're going to say, man, is this really going to work in the Big Ten with UCLA and USC and Oregon? I'm not going to say it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work or not. But you look at a team like Kansas this past year, their 34-player roster, 23 of them were former JUCO players. And they made the Super Regional. We're a top 10 team late in the season. They hosted a regional, won it, and they played in the Super Regional and lost to Oklahoma, who went on to win the national title. So it's possible to have a roster of a lot of non-D1 players and have a successful season. Is that going to happen for Iowa? We'll have to wait and see. But I think, going back to, we talked about the first couple editions way back, I think guys like Seth Burkle and Wrigley Mathis and Sawyer Stein and Nate Hopkins, Sam George, the Minnesota State Mankato transfer at pitcher, I think they've made some solid additions, and now it's just kind of wait and see, does it translate to the D1 level? And if it does, I think they have a roster that could be pretty good next year with some of the returners that they do have. But it is just kind of the scenario that I was in, that sometimes those D1 transfers, they have to be perfect scenario, like a Brennan DeVrieze a few years ago from Wofford. That was a perfect scenario where Iowa had exactly what we wanted from an academic side of things. If that was just a normal, DeVrieze just looking to go to a school and academics weren't part of it, they never get a guy like him. So sometimes they have to fall right into the last round. And you saw last year, they got a guy like Joey Narrett from Dallas Baptist who had a really solid year. They've gotten other D1 guys that have really stepped up in some spots and been good. But I think more and more as the NIL portion becomes bigger and bigger in baseball, you're going to see Iowa have to go after these non-D1 guys just because they aren't going to be looking for the numbers that some of these D1 guys can be looking for, especially if you're trying to fill a spot like shortstop and second base where Iowa is. You want a guy that has shown his talent at whatever level, and a proven guy at the D1 level is probably out of Iowa's price range. And you see a lot of those guys go to the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC. So we'll see how Iowa's additions play out. But I think so far they have filled some of the holes that they needed.
Kyle Huesmann joining us on Off There with Mat Randazzo. Before we let you go, you're a Quad City, and you're going to be coming back home to the John Deere Classic Thursday, I believe, for round 1. So people are out at the course. If you see Kyle, ask for an autograph. He'll sign your hat or whatever. Give me a JDC thought and prediction. Obviously, I think it's a really good field. We just had, Todd Hajduk and TJ and Craig DeVrieze on the show, kind of breaking it all down. Give me your thoughts on maybe a thought about the tournament, and then give me a prediction of who wins this really good field of the JDC.
Yeah, first off, I would say, you look back over the years, and there's been, I think we were just talking before we started, Victor Hovland has played in this tournament before, and there's been guys that have played in this tournament that maybe grew into bigger names. That you look back on and say, wow, like I didn't even know he played in the tournament or something like that. But I would say this field, in terms of guys that are already at the spot, like, oh, that guy's pretty good. Not like in 5 years we'll say something about this. I think this field has guys that are already good. I don't know what you probably have a better idea than I do. I would say this has got to be one of the best, if not the best field they've ever had.
I think it's the best they ever had.
You look at, you got Chris Gotterup, who was really good late last year, started really well this year. Ben Griffin's a big name. I watch golf most every weekend, so I know 90% of these guys. But like Jacob Bridgeman, JT Post, and Keegan Bradley is a big name. Ricky Fowler, even though he's not what he used to be quite. Same with Jordan Spieth, not quite what he used to be. But those are two really big names to get in this tournament. I go up and down this list, and there's a lot of guys. Keith Mitchell's a guy. Aldrich Potgieter's a young guy that's played really well. There's a lot of guys in this field that are pretty good. I was about to say basketball players, pretty good golfers. This whole tournament, I'm looking through this list, and there's guys that I didn't even know. Max Homa and Tony Finau are in the tournament. These are some bigger names that are in this tournament. So I'm really excited to be out there on Thursday. It's supposed to be just so hot. I want to be out there most of the day, because I think if you go out there for the most of the day, you can follow. Zach Johnson's gonna be in there. If you want to follow Zach Johnson around, or you want to follow Jordan Spieth around. Hopefully the groups are either put together where you have some of the big names together, or at least they spread out enough that you can watch some of those guys. And I'm really excited because I was there, 10, 12 years. I was there when I was a lot younger, and I don't remember guys like a Chris Gotterup or a Ben Griffin being like, wow, that guy, I can't believe that guy's in the tournament. I can't wait to watch him. So I'm really excited. I've only been to one golf tournament ever in my life, and like I said, it was probably a decade ago at the John Deere Classic. So I watch golf almost every weekend. There's some guys in this tournament field that I'm really excited to see. In terms of a winner, that's interesting, because it always feels like there's a big name or two in this tournament, and then they just don't end up being like in the running. It's always some guy that's like kind of middle, like, that guy's all right. Like, why did he win the tournament though? It feels like this tournament though, there's enough big names. I just rattled off a number of names. It feels like someone in there, maybe not win, but a couple of those guys are going to have to be in it down the stretch, because you have a few more big names this year. It feels like eventually someone's going to be in it down the stretch. I don't have numbers of how guys have been playing lately, but I think like a Ben Griffin is going to be in it down the stretch. JT Poston won a few weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
So I think guys like that, Ben Griffin, JT Poston, Chris Gotterup's a guy that I feel like has got to be in there. But there's, like I said, there's a lot of good names that there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be in this down the stretch. And I think there's going to be names, if you get to Sunday, late on Sunday, and you're talking about 4 or 5 guys that are going to, be in the running to win it. And we've seen playoffs at the John Deere Classic where there's like 3 or 4 guys in the playoff.
It feels like a playoff year.
I think it'd be really, I think it could be, if it'd be one of those years, I think it'd be perfect for the John Deere Classic if you had a playoff with like a Chris Gotterup and a Ben Griffin and like Jordan Spieth. Like if you could run into something like that where a couple of the big names made it into a playoff, that would be really exciting for the tournament. I won't be there on Sunday, so they'd have to do it without me, I guess. But I'm really excited to see there on Thursday because you don't know who's going to play well and miss the, or not play well and miss the
Kyle,
cut.
you've effectively evaded the question of picking a winner. You've rounded off everybody. You gotta pick somebody. Nobody's watching this and holding you to it. Give me a winner. I did Jordan Spieth last segment. I did Jordan Spieth. As square of a pick that is.
Oh man, I mean, this is such a tough question because I don't know what these guys are currently. I don't know. I'll say Ben Griffin. That was the first guy that I mentioned.
When in doubt, take the odds-on favorite to win. Well done.
I forgot that's who the favorite is. No, but I think it'll be a good tournament. I think there's going to be some of those big names are going to be in it down the stretch on Sunday, and that'll be really exciting for a tournament that over the years has been good, but maybe has lacked having those big names that maybe people that don't necessarily follow the John Deere Classic. This could be a good year where you see an extra few people that turn on the TV and go, oh, I didn't know that Chris Gotterup and Ben Griffin were in the tournament. I didn't know that Ricky Fowler was in it or something like that.
Max Homa, Jordan Spieth, 20 feet.
So if you can get a couple of those guys in it down the stretch on Sunday, that's how you get a few more people to watch on TV. So hopefully that happens.
I love it. Kyle, enjoy it. Stay cool out there. Remember, we're out on in the Stonehouse. So honestly, if you're out in the if you make the trek out to 2 and you're off the green there, give me a buzz and come check out the humble abode that I have for this week as well. So we'll talk to you soon, my friend. Be good.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, that is Kyle Huesmann, Iowa women's basketball expert and now golf expert today. I will say this, Ben Griffin, when I said odds-on favorite, he's like plus 1,300. It's not like he's the odds-on favorite that he's obviously going to win the John Deere Classic. And I'll go back to, I want to say it seems maybe 2019. I don't know for sure what it was. Maybe it was later than that, but the year that we had really good sponsors exemptions and Victor Hovland was the favorite in Vegas coming in to win the John Deere Classic, and he was a sponsor exemption. And you go from a sponsor exemption being the favorite to win the John Deere Classic to looking at this not leaderboard, but odds board, if you will, and you can go 20 deep of guys that are really, really good. More than that, if you want to. So should be a great week of golf out at Deere Run. We will wrap up a Monday edition of OTA right after this. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak, with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo, now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Up There with Mat Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Monday, June 29th, the John Deere Classic and John Deere Classic week is officially underway. Some programming notes for you guys. No show tomorrow. We'll be out on the course, getting to MC a really fun event that I'm excited about out there. So no show tomorrow. We will be live from Deere Run in Andrew Lehman's office Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. We're super excited about that as well. Some news and notes quickly before we get out of here. Congratulations to Victor Hovland. They finished up the Travelers this morning, and it was Victor winning, birdieing the first playoff hole. Scotty Scheffler had a 5-footer to birdie as well and to move on, and he missed that. So Victor Hovland is the winner of the Travelers, and now all the attention and the focus shifts to the John Deere Classic coming up this week as well. If you're watching this, go to the comments, put who you think is going to win this year's John Deere Classic. We'll have some type of contest throughout the week with that as well, so weigh in and let us know who you think might win this year's John Deere Classic. And also, you saw coming out of the break, Godfather's Pizza. I can't stress this enough. Andy Furman and Godfathers are awesome people. They've been great to us with the show. They're a great sponsor and supporter of You from the West as well. It is a perfect reason to swing by Godfathers. They're located less than a mile from Deere Run. So if you're heading out to the John Deere Classic this week, swing by, grab yourself a pizza on the way out, sit in there and eat while you're there, whatever you want to do. But fantastic people, fantastic pizza. Godfathers in Silvis. We'll be talking about them throughout the week, but make sure you stop by and check them out as well. Again, no show tomorrow. Watch this one again if you want to. Get ready for the John Deere Classic. It promises to be one of the best ever when it comes to fields, and magic always happens out of the John Deere Classic. We will see you guys Wednesday live at 10 a.m. from the Stonehouse out of Deere Run. Have a great rest of your day, Quad Cities.